in the past videos, we have added two buttons over here. So if I press the add line button, I can add a line. And if I deactivate this, I can select this line. Alright. So now, in this part of the tutorial, alright, what I want to talk about is how to redraw this line. Let's say I want to redraw this line and make this line, okay, have a slope like this. Alright, so it has a different angle now. Okay, well, one way to do it is to rotate this over here and try to make it as make the slope the same as much as possible with the other line. Okay, and after that we can actually align these two objects together. Alright, so that is one way. Okay, but this is quite tiresome. Okay, it's quite tedious to me. So there is actually another way. Okay, and the other way is to add two control points. Alright, so let's say if I redraw, okay, I have this line over here, and let's say I want to redraw this line. Okay, but the let's say the starting point, I want the starting point to be fixed. So I can actually redraw the line, rotate the line in such a way that the starting point is fixed. So I rotate about the starting point. Okay, so I'm only changing the angle and also the length. I can lengthen it and shorten it. Okay, but the starting point will always remain fixed. Alright, so how we can do this is by using an event, and this event is called the double click event. Alright, so like let's say if I select this line object and I double click on it, okay, what I want to do is to add two control points. Alright, one control point is at the starting point on the line, and the other control point is at the other end of the line. Okay, so now when these two control points appear, let's say if I press on one of the control points, the other end of the line would be fixed. Alright, so when I press that control point, alright, and I move that control point, the line, okay, would lengthen towards that control point, and it will rotate at different angles depending on how I move that control point, okay, on where I move that control point. So later on, I think you'll get a much pretty good idea of what I'm talking about. Alright, but for now, let's try to add these two control points using this double click event. Alright, so let's go to our coding. So at the end over here, we can actually switch on an event listener. So canvas.on, and the double click event would be mouse, then double click. Okay, I think this is the way it's written. Okay, later on we can check it out. And when I double click on the object, what I want is to add two control points, one at each ends of the line. Alright, so I can write over here, adding control points. Okay, so adding control points over here. So let's write some code in this part, in this function over here, adding control points. So now we can actually add a parameter over here. Let's say O, and O is related to the to this event, mouse double click. Okay, so let's try to console log this O first and see what we have. Alright, okay, so let's go over here, open up the console, and let's add our line, deactivate. So I select this line and let's double click this. Alright, so something appear over here, and this is actually the object over here. All right. And if you go to the target, okay, the target is actually the object itself. All right. So all these are the object properties. Okay. So object properties, and as you see over here, we have the x1 and y1. Okay, so let me expand this. Okay, so under the target over here, we have x1 and y1. These are the coordinates of the first point, so this point over here. And we have the x2 and y2. These are the coordinates of the end point of the line. Okay, so if we want to get this object, this line, okay, it will be target over here. So how do we reference this object? Okay, so it is actually let object be equals to o dot target. All right, o dot target. So we can double check. We can console.log this object over here and see what we have. So let's add the line, deactivate, and let's double click on this. And as you can see, now we have the object itself. All right. So all these are the properties of the object. Okay. So now we can actually make full use of this. Okay, we can make use of this to do what we want to do, and that is by adding 2 control points at the end of this line. All right. So let's say we can let pointer 1 be equals to a new fabric.circle. Okay, so I want the control point to be in the shape of a circle. All right. So we need to pass in some properties for this circle. And the most important one is the radius. All right. So the radius, let's say the object's dot stroke width. And let be times, let's say, well, stroke width first. Okay, see what happens after that. So this means I want the radius of this pointer to be the thickness of the objects. So the object meaning the line. Okay, the line's width. All right, and let's give it some fill color. All right, so let's give it a blue color. Okay, and let's say we want the opacity. The opacity to be not 1. Okay, 1 it means it's fully opaque. So maybe we can give it 0.5, something like this. All right. So this is pointer 1. Okay. And yes, I miss out on the position of the pointer where I want to put this pointer. So pointer 1 would be situated at the starting point of the line. All right. So the top would be this object dot y1. Okay. As you know, x1 and y1, these are the coordinates of the line. All right. And this x1 and y1 are the coordinates of the starting point of the line. All right. So the left, I want it to be the object dot x1. Okay. So I think this should be sufficient. So we can do the same for the other point, which is supposed to be on the other end of the line. So let's call this pointer 2. All right. And this is no more y1. It should be y2. And this should be x2 over here. Okay. So now we have to add these two pointers on the canvas. So canvas.add pointer 1 and pointer 2. Alright. And we have to render it. Okay, request render all over here. Okay, so let's just see what happens. All right. Okay, let's go here. Let's add the line. Deactivate. So I can select this and let's double click this. All right, as you can see, okay, the circles are over here, but they are actually too small. All right. So let's try to increase the radius of this circle. So maybe the radius, okay, maybe we multiply this by 3. All right, multiply this by 3 and see how it goes. So we double click on this. All right, so the radius, okay, is sufficient, is big enough, but as you can see, the circle is not really on the line, okay? And why is this so? It's because of the origin of the circle. All right, what do I mean by that? Okay, so let me increase, okay? Let's say I increase one of them first. Let's say I increase it to 20 over here. Okay, so I add the line, all right? And I double click. Okay, so now as you can see, the origin of the line is this position over here. So whenever I add the circle, all right, the top position and the left position, okay, would be, well, the origin, okay, would be at this top position and the left position. Okay, I think it's a little bit confusing the way I'm saying it. All right. So let me give you an illustration. All right. So let's say if I change, okay, let's say my origin X, okay, is left over here, and my origin Y is top over here. All right. Now let's see where would the line, okay, be located on the line. Sorry, where the circle will be located on the line. Okay, so let's double click on this. So as you can see, nothing changes actually. Okay, because we say that the origin of this circle, all right, is the top left corner. All right, as you can see in our coding, it's at the top left corner. All right, but now let's change this to center. Okay, let's change this to center as well. And let's say I change this to 20, but I make this left and this top over here. All right, and let's see the difference between them. Okay, so I double click on this line. So as you can see now, all right, the first circle, okay, the origin now is at the center. All right, so when it's added onto the canvas, okay, the center will be added, all right, onto the position that I specified in the properties for the circle. So the position meaning these two positions over here, all right, the top and the left. And when the object is being added, okay, since the origin is at the center will be added at these two positions. All right, but for pointer 2, okay, the origin is at the top left. So when I specify these two positions over here, okay, the top left, all right, will be added at these positions. All right, so what we need to do is to change the pointer 2 to center as well. Okay, and now I think we can change this to multiply of 3 by 3. All right, so let's add the line over here and let's double click on this. And as you can see right now, the circles, okay, are positioned correctly along the line. Alright, so the next part of the tutorial, what I want to talk about is when I select this circle, okay, let's say this control point over here, when I move it, I want this line to move towards the circle as well, okay, and not affecting this other control point. Alright, so this position, this starting point over here stays fixed, whereas this ending point would follow wherever the circle goes. Alright, and this will be in the next video. Alright, okay, so see you soon.